Ladies and sinners, welcome to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Kayle Henderson. We're at it again, folks. At it again one more time where we can talk all things Vegas sports. As you folks know, we love to cover our Las Vegas Raiders. And I can say this for the first time in a long time. I mean this when I say it, folks. And it's hard for me to say. The reason why I say it's hard for me to say is it hasn't happened very often. Rarely ever does. The Raiders are making competent decisions as an organization. Like smart, football-minded, business-minded decisions. And we're going to talk about that a bit more later in the show, but it's just kind of shocking to me, man. Like, there's also a lot of mixed reviews from the Raider Nation about, the hires that have taken place and the overall idea of the path of the rebuild. And that's what it is. It's another rebuild. There's no way around it. It's another rebuild. And that's where we're at as a Raiders fan. We just got to get used to it. We're in rebuild mode. So, not a huge deal. I think that the Raiders have had some home run hires, and I'm hoping it gets better. Keeps getting better, because that's what's going to help the Raiders return to the brand of excellence that they like to boast. That's what they've boasted for years, their commitment to excellence. On top of that, we're going to talk about the Las Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are still tied for first in the Pacific Division with the Edmonton Oilers. We'll talk a little bit about them, give you guys a bit more information on how that's going to roll. But today is primarily going to be a Raiders show. A lot of it has to do with I was not here last week. Sick kid. Young sick kid. Welcome, Onyx. Good boy. Just kind of hanging out in the background, guys. You can see my male husky who's always wondering, who am I yelling at? That's what he's always wondering. He's always investigating. Wants to know what's going on. Very protective of his new buddy, Creed. That's his boy. That's his guy. Beautiful boy. Come here. Come here. He's so excited. That's what we deal with on a daily basis, guys. He's just a spaz. He's just a spaz. We're at a quick break here for a word from our sponsor. We get back here, we will continue the Sin City Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
What up, folks? Welcome back here to the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Kayle Henderson. You guys can get at us on our Twitter forums at SinCity_IESR, at Kayle_Henderson. We talk all things Vegas sports. As always, folks, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of what we believe is really important when it comes to Vegas sports. Things are going off. As you guys know, that it's the fastest growing sports market in America right now. There's just no way around it. With the NFL, Major League Baseball coming to town, NHL has been in town for a few years, and there's been some success on all three levels when it comes to that. Vegas being to the playoffs in football, winning a championship at the NHL level. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are happening in Vegas sports. Now we have the Las Vegas Aces, the Lady Aces, who have absolutely been killing it in the WNBA over the last couple of years, and then the A's are on the way. The Las Vegas A's are on the way. We don't have a lot to talk about them right now. I think they're still in cahoots with building the stadium or the ballpark in itself. They're going to have to continue to renew that lease in Oakland for a couple more years while they get that built, which is kind of a sad situation because, Oakland, if I were them, I would inflate the lease price. Why would you keep the lease price the same way when you got a team that's trying to leave? They did the same thing to the Raiders. They really did. Oakland did the same thing to the Raiders. It was one of the few things that earned that city money, and they did the same thing to the Raiders. They almost doubled their lease pricing. So that should be sorted out, but a lot of things going on in Vegas. A ton of things. A lot of excitement. If you're a Vegas Golden Knights fan, you should be extremely excited. Why? Pretty simple. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are tied for first place in the Pacific Division. I mean, they're killing it, man. They're absolutely killing it. They've been killing it. They're tied for 68 points with the Edmonton Oilers. Here's the point differentials between the two teams, right? Point differentials are 29, plus 29, and plus 28. The difference is Vegas has really fallen off the last 10 games. I mean, they're 2-5-3 the last 10 games. It's really bad. You don't want that to be the case. You don't want to fall off. but I can tell you that Edmonton or the Golden Knights are dealing with some minor injuries. They're trying to get healthy at the right time. The one thing that the Vegas Golden Knights do a great job of year in, year out is just closing it out in the regular season and putting themselves in position to have a home playoff game, home playoff series. I don't see that being any different this year. They're also very aggressive at the trade deadline. Don't be surprised if that happens as well. That's something we need to look into. But overall, Vegas Golden Knights are absolutely killing it. And I know that fans should be pretty excited. Vegas fans in the T-Mobile Arena absolutely kill it. Absolutely kill it. One of the most exciting venues to play hockey, watch hockey. They go crazy. We saw that especially during their title run during the NHL playoffs. A lot of fun. Packed house, just rabid fans, man. It was a lot of fun to watch. Vegas Golden Knights are killing it. Jack Eichel is killing it. Jack Eichel has been the team leader for the Vegas Golden Knights. Just there's not much you could say other than he's just showing his leadership potential, the potential that Buffalo was looking for when they drafted him number 2 overall behind Connor McDavid years ago. But Jack Eichel's right now has 66 points. They've played 52 games. He's played 52 games. I don't know, man. When I look at that, I see a player that still has a chance, that still has a really good chance of hitting 100 points this year. Now, he's going to have to pick it up a bit. Don't get me wrong, he's going to have to pick it up a bit. But 100 points would be excellent season for Jack Eichel. That's an excellent season for anybody. You know, I'll tell you a player that I think was extremely underrated for the Tampa Bay Lightning that just didn't get enough love was Kucherov. Because you had Steven Stamkos and those guys back in the day. I put Jack Eichel in that Kucherov like atmosphere where he's just a very, very productive teammate. He scores goals and he assists. Right now he has 48 assists on the season. That's crazy. 48 assists. So Jack Eichel's killing it. The team in itself is absolutely killing it. Jack Eichel's got 18 goals in the season. Dorofeyev, 22. Tomas Hertl, who used to be, by the way, a Shark. Right now he's killing it. He's got 20 goals. Jack Eichel with 18. Bobby Howden with 16. I mean, Barbashev's got 15. Mark Stone, if he's got to get back to being healthy too, because Mark Stone is one huge piece for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. He's only played 39 games. The team in itself has played 53, so they need him to be back and healthy and ready to go. But overall, you're seeing some really good things out of this team. When Aiden Hill's in the goal, 19, 10, and 4. Seen a bit of a drop-off, 2.6 goals average against. Again, I think that Aiden Hill's been dealing with some lingering issues as well. And what you want to see is that all-star break come and these guys get healthy at the right time. Seriously. You want to see that. We're a couple months away from the playoffs starting. Believe it or not, we're already at that point. And I think that we're in for a ride because Vegas, they'll do what they always do, man. They always go on a run. They find a way to get themselves at first or second place in the Pacific, and they find a way to get themselves a home playoff series. So be that as it may, they may be struggling right now. They're 2-5-3. Sucks. You hate to see that. But overall, the Vegas Golden Knights are the Vegas Golden Knights. They find a way to win. They've missed one playoff appearance in their 7-year existence. One. They've won a title in their 7-year existence. They're a really good franchise. Like, if you were to build a blueprint on how to expand or create an expansion team, doesn't matter what league, however the Golden Knights did it from an organizational perspective should be what teams look at. They've been phenomenal. So, a lot of things to be excited there. The nice thing is, if Aiden Hill can't play either, Samsonov's been lights out, 12-6, 2. Yeah, he's allowing slightly, probably a little less than a goal more per game, but he still had a really, really good year so far as being the backup is concerned. Usually how NHL, it just depends on how the guys are feeling, but you'll see 2-1. Every 3 games, you'll probably see Aiden Hill start 2 games, and then Samsonov start 1. So it'll be 2 in a row for Aiden Hill, and then Samsonov steps in, and then back to Aiden Hill. So not a bad rotation, kind of what you're looking for in that aspect. But Golden Knights are playing solid hockey, and you can't ask for any more than that. We're going to go to a quick break here, guys. Play few drops from our teammates. Shout out to Ralph Calise, who's always stepping in. Thank you so much and listening to the show. And Taryn Rodriguez, two of the best teammates out there. We'll go ahead and play their drops because they're the legends, man. Gotta love it. Got to love their support of their teammate here on IE Sports Radio. When we get back, folks, Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold. Have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
Welcome back, folks, to the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Quick shout out to our teammates there, Ralph Calise there, the host of the Yenzer Report. He's our Pittsburgh expert and resident. He's been trying to sell off Russell Wilson for peanuts to the Raiders. The Raiders are not interested. Stop it, Ralph. Deal with it. I have a really sneaky suspicion that if the Raiders were to make a move for any one of your players, it'd probably be the young gun, Justin Fields, someone that I think you can mold a more of a mobile Chip Kelly offense around. But that's just my thoughts. I wouldn't want Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson kind of shut that down. He said, I want to focus on being a Steeler. I think he likes playing for Mike Tomlin, and he did play pretty well last year. It is what it is in Pittsburgh, man. They just got to continue to figure out a way to get the ball to their weapons. And I don't know, man, George Pickens, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Ralph, because I'm sure you're listening in. George Pickens to me comes off as a diva. I don't know if you want to deal with that. That's just my opinion. But Ralph had a nice little shindig to say in the comments. Golden Knights need to stay away from New York. The Rangers and Islanders have swept the season series 0-4. Yep. I think those are just bad matchups for the Golden Knights. I think both those teams play very fast. They play heavy on the puck. They're great at rebounds, and that's just not something that Golden Knights are very good against this year. Their defensive back or their defensive front of the Golden Knights is just not what it's been in years past. So yeah, those teams that are a bit quicker on the puck can do a great job of spreading the love. 100%, they're going to struggle. But I would also say that Golden Knights play a different brand of hockey when they get to the playoffs, and it seems like they're a really good matchup for anybody they play against. Ralph says 100% a diva. Yes. And I don't even know George Pickens is going to be on the team next year. Like, he could get traded. If I was the Steelers, dude, now it's nowhere near as bad as the AB drama, but it's not far off. You know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of weird the crap that's going on over there. And yeah, there's been some instability at quarterback, but I think Russ did a really good job of stepping in and playing good football for you guys. So build around him, man. Give him another year in this system. And Arthur Smith, I think, is a really good coordinator. So we'll see what happens there. Shout out to Taryn Rodriguez. He's the host of the Set Point. He's our resident volleyball expert. He's also a co-host of many shows. On top of that, SoCal Supreme Sports Show and the 3 and Out specials with Larry B himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Got to give Taryn a ton of love because Taryn does a great job for our studio, does a great job for our for our platform in itself, IE Sports Radio. They do a great job. If you guys miss a show, you don't have to worry about it. If you guys have been watching the ticker at the bottom of the screen, we are ready to go, man. You can get us. You can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube at IE Sports Radio. And then you guys can go to iesportsradio.com. Check out our merch. Our merch is pretty legit. Newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Get rawnutrition.com. Use promo code IESR for 10% off your Raw Nutrition Supplements. And then huge shout out to our sponsors, by the way. You know, we had Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky that's on a whole other planet. They still have that special going. If you buy a bag, post on Instagram, tag IE Sports Radio and Planet Jerky, you can actually get a free bag. So buy one, get one free. The other one is Vital Apparel, great for mental health awareness. And the whole idea is to get people in the gym because the studies show the more you lift, honestly, the better you have. The better heart health. No joke. So get in there. And then Raw Nutrition. So guys, ever want to get a hold of me, at SinCity_ISR, at Kayle_Henderson. We talk all things Vegas sports on X. And we talk a lot about our Raiders. Guys, our Raiders have absolutely been killing it this offseason so far. Again, this is just something the Raiders do from time to time. They make good decisions. And then at that point, you have to decide, okay, are the Raiders going to Raider, or are they going to put themselves in position to be a better franchise? I think they were trying to do that with John Gruden. And I think that Mark Davis said that. You know, John Gruden was a big figure in the football ops department, and the team was getting better. It was getting light years better from what it was, from the struggles and stuff like that. When John Gruden was essentially forced to resign, the team was winning. It was 3-1. It was a very good team that year. And you didn't have all the drama with Henry Ruggs yet. None of that stuff took place. So now we're looking at this in the terms of, what does Tom Brady see with this team? Well, and we missed it. I wasn't able to cover it last week, but the hiring of Pete Carroll. And I remember saying the show before that happened, Pete Carroll is the best option for the Raiders at this time. I would never have said no to Ben Johnson, but there was risks. I wanted Mike Vrabel. It was just too tall of a task to go out and get him because the Patriots really wanted him. And he was going to return home to a place he was very comfortable. So Pete Carroll, to me, was that name when he was surfacing that I'm like, this makes all the sense in the world. The Raiders have a tendency to absolutely blow up their franchise and make terrible decisions. Pete Carroll does nothing but build winning cultures with accountability. Something the Raiders desperately need right now. So overall, super excited with what the Raiders have done so far this offseason. Pete Carroll is the way to go. I mean, guys, he won 2 national titles. I'll say it like this. In the last 10 years, tell me a head coaching candidate with a better resume than Pete Carroll. Last 10 years. I don't know if you could tell me if there's a coach out there other than maybe Bill Belichick that won 6 Super Bowl titles as a head coach, 2 as a coordinator in the NFL, 8 titles. That's phenomenal. You can't beat that. But looking at available coaches the last 10 years, I don't know if you can find me a head coaching candidate that is responsible for 3 Heisman Trophy winners, 2 national titles. He coached arguably one of the greatest teams we ever saw in the 04 USC Trojans that absolutely mollywopped Oklahoma in the finalists. 05 was a phenomenal team. They could have very easily won that national championship, even though Vince Young and his heroics took off, they were still an unreal team that could, I think, that could compete against a lot of those better teams that are in the conversation for the greatest team of all time in college football. You're just not going to find that, right? Pete Carroll's a stud. Then he shows up to Seattle. By year 3, he wins a Super Bowl. Year 4, he attends his second Super Bowl. Should have won the second one if he'd just given it to beast mode at the half-yard line. Not to mention he's an architect as to one of the greatest secondaries we've ever seen in football history. And he's an architect of one of the most lethal defenses we've ever seen in NFL history. So he's a winner of 60% of his games. He's 181, and I think they said like 80 as a head coach in the NFL. We weren't going to find a head coach with a better resume. You just weren't. You know, I'll say this: if Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll were going for the Raiders job at the same time in the same year, I'd probably still pick Jim Harbaugh because I just really love his coaching style. It's just more of a preference thing for me, in my opinion. I just like the way he coaches. I love the way his players play for him. But Pete Carroll is renowned and well respected across the league as a culture setter. His players love him. He was the ultimate players coach. You can't find a player that says a bad thing about Pete. The only one that I think would have been Russ, and I guess they buried the hatchet. Like, they're doing fine. So just saying, man, Pete Carroll was the way to go. Very proud of the way Pete Carroll's been. But Pete Carroll, by all means, was the best decision for the Raiders this year. I got Mike from Let's Wine About Sports saying, make the Raiders competitive again. 100%. And it's actually been said like 100 times in the last 2 weeks. When the Raiders are good, the NFL is better. Seriously, they're one of the blue buds. They're one of the blue chips of the NFL. Like, they're a huge reason why the NFL is what it is today. Because they helped inspire that AFL merger with Kansas City and all of those regular teams. Guys, you don't get an NFL, a really successful NFL, without a really successful Raiders team. And I think the NFL is also on board with that. They get it. They have one of the best fan bases in all of sports. They're internationally known. They're one of the most popular fan bases in all sports, one of the most popular logos and jersey combinations in sports. The NFL is best when the Las Vegas Raiders, when the Raiders in themselves, Raider Nation, is killing it. And they need it big time. So what did the Raiders do this year that's just so unique? Well, they've turned to Tom Brady. So Mark Davis is no longer making the decisions of the staff. Yes, is he signing off? I'm sure he is. He's the owner. And I'm sure Tom is saying, hey, Mark, this is why I really like this guy. I'd like to take a flyer out of him. And Mark's just saying yes, because he's tried it his way numerous times, and Mark has failed miserably. The only thing Mark is really good at as of right now is building a business. As you can see, a team that was worth $970 million in Oakland is now worth $6.8 billion in Las Vegas. He knows what he's doing when it comes to making money. This whole Mark Davis's cash poor thing is hilarious. He could be probably one of the poorest billionaires of all of the NFL owners, because this is just, for a lot of the NFL owners, this team or their team is their fun money, if you will. So yeah, you could say he's one of the poorest billionaires, but he's not poor. He's far from it. I just think teams have traditions, man. And the Raiders get a bad rap because they just don't really believe in the whole signing bonus aspect. They've tried to avoid that for years, giving cash up front. A lot of it's incentive-based bonuses. And now I don't know if that's going to be the case, because Tom Brady stepped in. Him and John Spytek are going to do what they can to build a winning team. And what do they choose to do? They could have easily just really gone full-fledged, made an offer for Ben Johnson, and they've reportedly said that they didn't get a chance to make an offer yet. They wanted him, but they didn't get a chance to make an offer. Which tells me, I think they were trying to do their due diligence, and they had multiple interviews with Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll just to them seemed like the guy that they needed in the Raiders room at this time. And I'll say it like this, guys. I really mean it when I say this. I think Pete Carroll was the best decision. Straight up. I don't know Ben Johnson. He is a phenomenal play caller. But so was Josh McDaniels. And you never know. I could be wrong. Ben Johnson could be the next Bill Walsh. He could be one of the greatest coaches we've ever seen. I just can't. If I'm a franchise that struggled mightily for 20 years, I can't take that chance. And there were a lot of Raiders fans that wanted that. Sorry, guys, that's just not smart. It's not smart business. You got to look at risk and reward. In my opinion, Pete Carroll was less of a risk. You are likely to succeed more with Pete Carroll in his ability to build a culture and build trusted players. Not to mention, when I hear accountability, there's no guaranteeing that a young coach like Ben Johnson can keep these damn players out the casinos and out of their cars when they're drunk. I think Pete Carroll can do that because Pete Carroll straight up cut a guy. He did over 100 transactions in his first 2 years as the head coach and a senior vice president of football operations for the Seattle Seahawks. Him and John Snyder did over 100 transactions in 2 seasons to build that Super Bowl winning team. There's going to be turnover here, guys. Right? Pete Carroll's the type of guy, he's going to interview, sit down, and talk to every single player. And if he does not feel like they're the type of player that's going to help them compete and be a good teammate, he's going to cut you. And I 100% agree with it. I love it. I think it's great. So Pete Carroll, to me, again, resume speaks for itself. 3 Heisman Trophy winners, 3 national title appearances, 2 national title wins. He built one of the winningest programs in the country for almost a decade at USC. I think they were going for a record of like 30-plus games in a row winning before Alabama took it over. I don't know, was it 5 or 6 years ago? Regardless, USC was rolling, man. Nobody was even in their wheelhouse. Then he goes to the Seahawks. It took him 3 years, and he won a Super Bowl because of the culture he built, the guys he drafted. The guy was brave. He drafted a 3rd-round draft pick and started him over a free agent that they signed, Matt Flynn, to a big contract that offseason. He decided to go with him. Run the football, build a team around a 3rd-round quarterback, build one of the greatest defenses we've ever seen, and the rest is history. And he should have 2 Super Bowl wins. So, Pete Carroll's a great decision. What's the other great decision that was made this offseason? There was a lot of speculation as defensive coordinator because Pete Carroll is an excellent defensive mind. He's known as a defensive-minded head coach. Pete Carroll said, this Raiders defense is really good. I think Patrick Graham is a very, very good defensive coordinator. I think he's a young defensive coordinator with a lot of potential for a future gig. I'm going to keep him around. And Pete Carroll's recruiting prowess kept Patrick Graham around. Best decision he could make was keeping Patrick Graham. The next best decision would have been Robert Saleh. He's going back to the Niners. Can't blame him. Can't blame the Niners either because they had a ton of success with him there. So I like this move. Pete Carroll says, you know what? The Raiders defense has gotten steadily better. We're probably going to keep most of those players on defense, if not add a few to the shelf in the draft, maybe a couple in the offseason. Patrick Graham has got a lot of respect with the players. I mean, they were a bottom-feeding defense for decades. And then Patrick Graham stepped in, and now they're a top half of the league defense. And you have one of the best pass rushers there are. I don't know, man. The Patrick Graham decision, the decision to keep Patrick Graham was genius. And it's Pete Carroll's way of saying, and I give him a lot of praise for this. He could have gone back to what was convenient for him. When he won his Super Bowl, Dan Quinn was his defensive coordinator. Gus Bradley was a defensive assistant that he was really comfortable with. Gus Bradley is currently unemployed. Pete Carroll could have very easily gone after him. Let's look into offensive coordinator. What's another decision they made? It was just finalized, announced just the other day. Pete Carroll hired Chip Kelly to be the offensive coordinator. Hired him away from Ohio State. At $6 million a year, making Chip Kelly the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. I 100% agree with this. because Chip Kelly has grown a ton since his NFL days. You saw it at UCLA. Did they win a lot? No, but their offense looked like an NFL offense. What you saw from Ohio State last year with his double tight sets, his ability to help Will Howard grow. Will Howard was more of a running quarterback at K-State. He was more of a dual threat, like legitimate pocket passer last year for Ohio State. Yes, they have incredible receivers. Don't get me wrong. Unbelievable weapons to get the ball to. Great offensive line. The best roster money could buy last year. I won't let that go. That's what it costs to win a national title these days is $20 million. Regardless, it's not far off from what you're seeing in the NFL now. So, Raiders said, we're not going to do the old thing. They could have gone out and hired Darrell Bevel. They could have gotten Shane Waldron. Two guys that Pete Carroll had coached with before. He's probably really comfortable with. And he said, nope, I want Chip Kelly. I also look at it as there's a good chance that Chip Kelly and Patrick Graham could be one of the head coaches in waiting because we know Pete Carroll only has a 3-year deal with a 4th-year option. So if you're the Las Vegas Raiders and you're hiring one of these two guys back, you're saying, hey, this is what we're looking for. And it wouldn't surprise me if Chip Kelly's the top of the list because in today's NFL, a young offensive coordinating or offensive guru is going to be a head coach. So when Pete Carroll leaves in 4 years, it wouldn't surprise me if Chip Kelly's the head coach in waiting and the Raiders are an organization that it's one of 32 head coaching jobs in the NFL. But if you want to talk about top jobs, the Raiders are definitely one of them. There's just a lot of cachet that comes with it. Maybe not as much as what you see in Dallas, even though Jerry Jones is doing a great job of ruining that. The Raiders are still a top job. Still one of the top jobs. Taryn chimes in. This might be one of the biggest off seasons for the Raiders. I know I say that every off season, but the Raiders have a chance to rocket their way back to their way back to relevance. They just need the correct people, and I think they've started with that, Taryn. I really do. You know, last year, if it would have been up to me, and you know this, I would have thrown the Brinks truck at Jim Harbaugh to come in and really fix the culture, because you're seeing what happened with the Chargers. They're not a complete team yet. They may need 1 or 2 more years of drafting under Jim Harbaugh. Not to mention they were in cap purgatory because of what Telesco did with contracts. I personally believe that Jim Harbaugh is going to absolutely turn that Chargers franchise around. They will be a contender for a Super Bowl very soon because sooner or later the Chiefs have to fall off a little bit, right? That's what I wanted. But if there's anything we've seen, it only took Pete Carroll 3 years to turn a Seahawks franchise that was absolutely in the gutter around and win a Super Bowl title by building defense and building a team around a young quarterback. There's no reason why the Raiders couldn't do that too, especially with a 7-time Super Bowl champion who understands how to win, making decisions. John Spytek, who really knows how to build rosters. You saw it in Tampa over the years. Taryn says, a team can suck forever and a team can't rule forever. 100%. Sooner or later, there's got to be a fall off. And I don't wish injury on anybody, but, Patrick could have a season-ending injury next year. At that point, you know that the Chiefs aren't going to win as many games. They're a 500 team, less maybe a 4-win team without Patrick Mahomes. I'm just being real with that situation. So that kind of leaves the door open for a lot of teams to really do something. The Raiders will probably be competitive this year. They won't be a team that I would expect to be in the playoffs, just based off of what I'm seeing right now, unless they truly have their quarterback in mind, a guy that they know can step in and run Chip's offense and do it the right way. But overall, the Raiders have had a great offseason. They've made great decisions with their coaching hires. They let go of coaches from the last couple regimes. I'm okay with that. This was the right move. I understand Antonio Pierce did not get a lot to work with. I get that. But his inexperience and his decision making, his time management, And towards the end, you could tell that the rumors about team meetings and things not going super well. And sometimes you just wonder if people just talk. And unfortunately, I felt like, although Antonio Pierce is a really good dude, and I do believe he's about it, it was clear that he was all talk. He didn't really know how to run a team yet. The Raiders also didn't give him a lot to work with. So what do? You could stay with Antonio Pierce, or you can go after somebody who's proven. That's what I think this Pete Carroll decision was. I think the Raiders said, I'm tired of taking flyers. I'm not taking risks on a young coach that's never had head coaching experience before. I'm going to a proven product. I'm going to a guy that has one of the best resumes we've seen in 10 years of hiring head coaches in NFL. Pete Carroll is by far and away that guy. Yes, he's old. I get it. He's 73. But it seems as though he's prepared for the future. And he's handling this the right way. And part of his, and this has been acknowledged in interviews, part of his pitch to getting the job for the Raiders is he's going to set somebody else up for success. And as of right now, it looks like it's pointing towards Chip Kelly. Because Chip Kelly's grown a lot. He deserves a second, third chance in the NFL. And who better to learn from than the culture setter himself? So, Raiders, absolute home run hire. I love that they kept their defensive coordinator. That defense should continue to play lights out. It's probably going to take 1 to 2 years for that offense to really kick off. The Raiders have $100 million in cap space. They hired a general manager that helped form that Tampa Bay team that won a Super Bowl, the one that absolutely mollywopped the Chiefs, one of the few teams that really dominated them over the last 4 or 5 years. I love it, man. And then you have Tom Brady, who's going to do a great job of assessing quarterbacks and putting the Raiders in position to draft the best guy. There's a possibility the Raiders trade up. I'm not saying it happens. If I were the Raiders, I'd probably trade back, get best player available in the first, and then fill out your offensive defensive lines to the draft. Get some linebackers, right? Get a couple running backs in the draft. Create competition in that roster. But I also believe that I don't think Chip Kelly gets hired unless they have a plan at quarterback. Aiden O'Connell can get some work done. I think Aiden O'Connell's a good quarterback, but I think he's a perennial backup. I think he's a plus backup. Fringe starter. It'll be interesting to see if the Raiders go after somebody that they think would be familiar enough to play football for Chip Kelly. I don't think it'd be Marcus Mariota. I think Marcus Mariota had his chance in Atlanta and he ended up getting beat out by Taylor Heineke and what's his name? The kid from Cincinnati, who was also a Raider this year. You know, that's probably dead, buried in the water. Jameis Winston could be a possible quarterback that comes in. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be the guy. It's just he's going to be expensive, dude, and I don't know if he's really a franchise quarterback yet. He had one good season under Kevin O'Connell. Can we guarantee that Chip Kelly's going to get the most out of him? Probably not. What I think happens, and this is just what I've seen over the years. I think the Raiders trade back from 6 to get more picks because that is a Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick way of thinking, and they go after a quarterback in the early rounds, early second or third rounds, that they feel like can fit this Chip Kelly offense, and they're going to build the trenches. They're going to build a really strong front seven on defense because I think the defensive backfield is actually very good for the Raiders. I think they have 3 guys that could really wreak havoc at corner. I think that Trayvon Moehrig is an absolute stud. They'll probably do what they can to bring him back. And then I'm really excited to see what Trey Taylor does from Air Force. He was a winner for the best safety in college football, just like Trayvon Moehrig was. You have those 2 guys in your backfield. Marcus Epps may not return. I'm not sure he will or not. All I'm saying is you have 5 DBs that could start and play really good football for you, for the Raiders. Now you really need to shore up that linebacking core. Maybe get another big defensive lineman to rotate with Christian Wilkins. Myles Garrett's up in the air now. Myles Garrett could be a possibility. Do the Raiders want to give up those draft assets, though, when they're trying to rebuild their team? Probably not. Max has got a motor. I'm sure he'll be fine. Malcolm Kuntz could come back. They could give him a pretty minimal, I would say, decent raise, but at the same time, kind of a prove-it contract considering he got injured on a contract year. But Malcolm Kuntz is still a really good football player. Khalil Mack's out there. Pair him with Max Crosby. I'm sure that would be lethal. Be nice to see number 52 back. Really would. Nice. It'd be great. Those Mac jerseys would be back. Amari Cooper's going to be a free agent. Imagine if him and Mac come back in the same season. That'd be incredible. I do think Aiden O'Connell can win football games for you, by the way. I do. You just need to build a team around him. And that offensive line has got to get light years better. From the center to maybe one of those guard positions and a tackle position. They just have to get better. Raiders got a lot of things to focus on. Quarterback being number one. But most importantly, I think that Raider Nation should be proud. I also think that they need to be patient. This is going to be a year where they will struggle to get 7 or 8 wins. They're going to struggle to get 7, 8 wins. It's okay. Because there's a chance that they could build up assets, right? And then all of a sudden you're in play for Arch Manning the following year. Or another quarterback, notable quarterback. Just be patient. Know that there's options out there. Justin Fields could be one of them. If Chip can turn Will Howard around, you can't tell me that Chip can't make Justin Fields a viable quarterback in this NFL. But the Raiders have to build a team. They have to. No way around it. Raiders have to build a team. I think Carroll comes down to high-tech. Chip Kelly's prowess. Chip Kelly makes it seem like he doesn't ever want to be a head coach again. I don't know if I buy that now. But there's a lot to like about this new staff. There's a lot to like about the direction they're taking. You got to appreciate it, man. The Raiders are finally making smart moves. So Raiders fans should be thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. Lot to like about what we saw there. You guys know how it is, man. Every Tuesday evenings, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard, 9 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk Vegas sports, all things Vegas sports for that matter. Lot to talk about the Raiders. We're going to see more develop as we go. Keep an eye on Twitter, guys. You guys can go to @SinCity_IESR, like, follow, set up alerts. You guys are going to see me kind of give you the news updates. I'm not going to come at you and say I have sources or I talk to players in the locker room like you see a lot of these other content creators put out there. I'm just going to regurgitate facts. That's it. It's coming from Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, Vic Tafer, those guys that are really close to the team. When they share the news, I'll share it on my channel. That way you guys know what's going on. Raiders are making smart decisions. We're going to see a lot of things change coming up here soon. Believe it or not, in the next month, we'll have free agency already. The Raiders have over $100 million in cap space. The number 6 overall draft pick. I like it, man. I like where they could be heading. I really do. One thing I can guarantee is the front 7 is going to be diabolical if Pete Carroll has anything to do with it in Seattle. Just like in Seattle, right? Bobby Wagner and those guys. Don't be surprised if the Raiders take that same approach. Likewise, they're going to build up their offensive line. So that way it doesn't matter who's quarterback, they're protected, and we can get the ball out to the people that are open. Lot to like, man. Lot to like. And kudos to Mark Davis. Kudos to Tom Brady for also opening up the pocketbook. You could have very easily said no, but they said $6 million a year for a top offensive coordinator in football. For a top. Not saying he is the top. For a top offensive coordinator who is very creative. He's genius. He does a great job of putting offenses together. You saw that in Philadelphia. The problem was he was a head coach for a while. So you don't just focus on the offense. Things just tend to punch you in the face. Really excited for the Raiders, man. This is the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. And as always, folks, love, peace, and hair grease.